Sentry Equipment Corp is a leading worldwide supplier of sampling components and systems. We offer more than a dozen models of automatic samplers for bulk solids as well as collection and transport systems. Sentry Equipment's bulk solid samplers include point, strip, crosscut, and conveyor belt designs. A point sampler takes a sample at one point in the product flow stream. A strip sampler takes a sample of a strip across the product stream, and a crosscut sampler takes a sample of the entire area of the flow stream. All sampler parts in contact with the product are constructed of type 316 or 304 stainless steel. Special materials of construction such as Hastelloy, Kynar, and Monel can be supplied when required. Solenoids are explosion-proof NEMA 7 and 9 classification with TEFC motors. The samplers and systems are automatically controlled by a flexible PLC-based control package. All controls can be interfaced with customer PLC or commands if needed. Following are demonstrations spotlighting some of our various models. The Sentry Model A is a point sampler that may be implemented in a wide variety of applications. It may be used with any pellet or flake meeting the recommended product size. Typical applications include grains, sugar, cottonseed, rice, activated carbon, paint pigments, flour, and plastics. Typical installations are on screw conveyors, drag conveyors, or sloped gravity chutes. The Model A samples product when a solenoid-controlled air cylinder opens, then closes a slide gate located over a discharge hole. While in the open position, the sample is discharged into a sample container. The sampler is controlled by a Sentry automatic control system, allowing the operator to program the time between samples, as well as the sample duration. The Sentry Model B1 is a specialized spot sampler specifically engineered to comply with USDA and 3A standards for use in the dairy and pharmaceutical industries. Common applications include sampling milk powders and pharmaceutical powders within the recommended product size. Typical installations are on gravity lines, vertical chutes, sloping chutes, and hoppers. The sampler has a fixed tube and auger mounted in the product stream. To collect the sample, the Model B1 first cleans out the sample tube by running the auger in reverse. After purging, the auger is run in the discharge direction to collect a sample and transport it to the discharge tube. The sampler is controlled by a Sentry automatic control system, allowing the operator to program the purge time as well as the sample duration. The Sentry Model GA is a cross-cut sampler which may be implemented in a wide variety of applications. Typical applications include grains, chemicals, seeds, coal, fertilizer, salt, flour, sand, and plastics. The GA carries FGIS and Canadian grain approval. Typical installations are on gravity lines, vertical spouts, or angular spouts. Product is sampled by the Model GA when a solenoid-controlled air cylinder moves a pelican-type diverter across the entire product flow, capturing a sample, then discharging it through the pelican tube. Product is transferred by a hose to a sample collection point. The diverter comes to a rest position under a dust seal. This keeps the fines from flowing into the diverter when not taking a sample. The sampler is controlled by a Sentry automatic control system, allowing the operator to program the time between the samples. The Sentry Model PR is a point sampler, which may be implemented in either gravity or pressure lines. It may be used with almost any free-flowing solid material meeting the recommended product size. Typical applications include pellets, cement, chemicals, resins, powders, and slurries. Typical installations are on gravity lines or pressure lines up to 60 psi and may be mounted horizontally, on an angle, or in a hopper. The Model PR sampler utilizes a reciprocating probe that is traversed in the material flow stream by a solenoid-controlled air cylinder. After collecting a material sample through an inlet aperture located near the end of the tube probe facing the stream, the tube is retracted back into the sampler housing out of the material stream. In the retracted position, the sample discharge aperture in the tube aligns with the discharge opening in the housing. The sample then flows into a container via gravity, assisted by the captured pressure in the probe. The sampler is controlled by a Sentry automatic control system, allowing the operator to program the time between samples as well as the sample duration. The Sentry Model RX is a strip-style sampler that may be implemented in either gravity or low-pressure lines. It may be used with almost any free-flowing solid material meeting the recommended product size. Typical applications include pellets, seeds, chemicals, film, powders, and grains. Typical installations are on gravity lines or pressure lines up to 15 psi and may be mounted horizontally, vertically, on an angle, or in a hopper. The Model RX sampler utilizes a reciprocating tube probe that is traversed across the material flow stream at a 45-degree angle to the stream by a solenoid-controlled air cylinder. As the probe is traversed across the material flow, it diverts a sample through an aperture near the front end of the tube and discharges it through the rear of the tube into a collection container by gravity. The RX sampler has an open probe that will continuously discharge a sample stream as long as the probe is in the material stream. The sampler is controlled by a Sentry automatic control system, allowing the operator to program the time between samples as well as the sample duration. The Sentry Model SA is a crosscut sampler which may be implemented in a wide variety of applications. It may be used with almost any free-flowing solid material meeting the recommended product size. Typical applications include grains, chemicals, seeds, coal, fertilizers, powders, metals, sand, and plastics. Typical installations are on gravity lines, vertical spouts, or approved pressurized applications. The Model SA samples when a solenoid-controlled pneumatic rotary actuator swings a Pelican-type diverter on an arc across the entire product flow. The diverter captures the sample, then discharges it through the Pelican tube. The discharge tube is on the axis of rotation and is parallel to the material flow. The diverter is under a dust seal when at rest, keeping the fines from flowing into the diverter. The sampler is controlled by a Sentry automatic control system, allowing the operator to program the time between samples. This has been an overview of just 6 of our automatic samplers. We offer many additional products for sampling gases, liquids, slurries, and bulk solids. With Sentry's expertise and assistance, make your next sampling project a success.